I am genuinely curious as to how a certain player benefits the St. Louis Blues in any single way. And I need to know if I'm the only one that feels this way about Kevin Hayes. This is all coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues, here a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about what exactly does Kevin Hayes do on the ice. Can they still make the playoffs? And he needs to go. What do I mean by that? Well, you will find up here on today's episode. It is currently right now the third period, and the Blues are trailing the Leafs, and it's not a good game. And I decided, you know what? I am very frustrated with one particular player. I'm going to do my podcast, finish up the game, and then I'll do a game reaction video tomorrow, like usual. But I have some more important things to talk about today with a certain player that has really been bugging me, as you can tell. Before I dive any deeper, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. I hope everybody is having a good Tuesday. It is February 13th, officially 2 days until my birthday. And today, the St. Louis Blues are losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not a good game. I am very annoyed. But in particular, I am annoyed about one player on the St. Louis Blues, Kevin Hayes. I really wanted him to do well. Okay. He was a player that I have been rooting for. I've been, you know what? He needs time to adjust, and maybe people were being too difficult and hard on him, but I am done with the excuses. I am done giving him these chances. I honestly can tell you, I don't feel like he's doing anything to benefit the St. Louis Blues by any means. Um, sure, he does sometimes make good plays. Like, I'm not going to deny that whatsoever. But if you look at the last 5 games, guess how many points he's put up? I want you to take a guess right now, actually. Yeah, he put up nothing, no points in the last 5 games, no assists, no goals, nothing. He is not a player that I feel like is benefiting this team. He is a player, I know he's a no trade clause, but I mean, if they traded him, like, I wouldn't be upset because I don't feel like his presence on ice is helping the Blues in any way. And the thing is, I will defend any player of the St. Louis Blues. I know that with the Philadelphia Flyers, his name was brought up earlier this year, actually, with some rumors that were not true. Kevin Hayes is a good guy. I am not denying that in any way. I think that he's been through some really difficult times, and I'm very sympathetic. I think that he is a good person, but you can be a good person, but just not be the right fit for a team. And maybe, he's just not the right fit for the St. Louis Blues. This is a team that needs to get younger. This is a team that has talent, right? They have young talent, but this is a team that is growing and really becoming something special. And do I feel like Kevin Hayes is helping them? No. Do I think he's hurting them? A little bit. Sometimes when he's on the ice, I truly don't understand what he's doing. Now, I am going to say I do believe that Kevin Hayes does put his full effort. I'm not saying that he's lazy by any means. I don't think Kevin Hayes is a lazy player. I don't think he's a lazy person. But I just don't see the growth. I don't see him flourishing here in St. Louis. And I really wanted him to. He was previously with the Philadelphia Flyers, and then he was with the New York Rangers before that. He was actually with the Winnipeg Jets for like 20 games, which I always kind of forget about. But because it's like the most random thing. But this year with the St. Louis Blues, I mean, he only has 21 points, which is almost the lowest amount of points that he's had. And I'm very concerned. Last year, Philadelphia, he actually had a hat trick in Philadelphia last year, which was crazy. but he had 54 points in the 81 games that he played. Now, what does that say to me? That's the most amount of games that he's ever played in a single season. But that also says to me that for whatever reason, he isn't able to find that same success here. I mean, even when he played in New York for all of those years, um, he was able to get, at least 40 something points a season. I just don't think Kevin Hayes is fitting in well here in St. Louis. And I wouldn't be surprised if Doug Armstrong and the upper management were like, okay, how can we get this guy out of here? Because he's not a guy that you can send down to the minors, or you're not going to send him down to Springfield. I just feel like it's not working out. It's a huge difference, though, right? To be able to be so successful with a couple of teams. I'm not going to count Winnipeg because that was literally only 20 games, but to be able to gain success with two different hockey organizations, come to a new organization and just be really minute, right? Not make a lot of good plays, looking really out of place on the ice. I'm trying to be nice. That's the best way to describe it. It does draw concern. And my concern right now with Kevin Hayes is he's on the third line, centering the third line, even though I think he's better as a winger, which is a whole other discussion. What's next for him? Like, what can the Blues do that are going to benefit him, right? I think maybe a trade wouldn't be the worst idea, but what can you get out of Kevin Hayes? What will be the value? And that's the problem. I do believe he's in his lower 30s. I don't have his exact age off the top of my head, but I do believe he's in his lower 30s. Could you get maybe a third round pick for him? Like, I know that sounds really bad, but realistically, you get Kevin Hayes for basically nothing, right? Because the Flyers ended up paying like majority of Kevin Hayes' contract. That's the whole, blockbuster trade of the summer. And you think about the fact, okay, you have him for really nothing. Like you're not paying a whole lot for Kevin Hayes. So you have this guy, he has been around the league. He does know the game of hockey very well. I mean, his cousins are the Kachucks. I always like to say that as like a fun fact. So, I mean, yes, like technically, I guess he does have ties in a way to St. Louis because his uncle is Keith Kachuk. But whole different thing. The point that I am getting at, now I'm just showing off my hockey knowledge, but the point that I am getting at is what can they realistically do with Kevin Hayes? Now, I think you can put Kevin Hayes and have him be a winger. I think that when he's playing, a wing position, he flourishes on the ice and he does significantly better. And I think it's a mistake to have him centering. I really do. You might argue with me and say, Haley, he's better as a center. You can have your opinion. I'm having my opinion. I think he's better at playing the wing position. And you can even look back and see where he did play wing. And you can tell me that he looked pretty good because he did. I just don't know. And I'm very frustrated for him. Not even with him, but for him. Because I do feel like he does have better talent than he is showing on the ice. I feel like he does know the game of hockey very well. And I do think that overall he is a good hockey player. But I just, for whatever reason, here in St. Louis, it's not maybe clicking the way that it should be clicking. And it makes him just kind of stick out a little bit, and not in a good way. I mean, you have players that stick out in a good way, like a Robert Thomas, a Jake Neighbors, a Pavel Buchnevich. And then you have guys that blend in and don't stick out, but it really does make them stick out because, I mean, this whole past week, I was evaluating players on the Blues. And which player did I not evaluate? Kevin Hayes. And I thought to myself, I'm like, Hale, how did you miss Kevin Hayes? And then I realized the reason why I missed Kevin Hayes, it wasn't because I forgot about Kevin Hayes. It was simply because he just doesn't do anything for me. He doesn't make me think twice about him. And I feel like most of the players on the team, even Sammy Blais, makes me think twice about him. I know Sammy Blais puts in a maximum effort, oh my God, my words, maximum effort. But yeah, it's just one of those things with Kevin Hayes where sometimes I just feel like he doesn't really stick out for me much. And it doesn't do much. So hopefully he turns things around. But I wanted to talk about him because I believe in him. And this is not me coming at Kevin Hayes in any way. I'm not slandering him whatsoever. I'm just frustrated with the way that he's been playing, or lack of playing, I should say. All right. Speaking of ways to play, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. But on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit fanduel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. I know for me personally, FanDuel is my sportsbook of choice. Now, I am waiting to bet until next football season because a lot of my parlays didn't hit during the Super Bowl, and I'm like a little upset about it. But there's a little birdie telling me to download FanDuel yet again because these NBA parlays can make you some serious cash, okay? The NBA is so much fun to bet on. I know that I'm a huge NBA sports bettor. I told myself I was taking a break. But for instance, if you bet on the 76ers, I mean, Joel Embiid's healthy right now, so maybe like a guy like a Tyrese Maxey when he comes back, right? And he's good. Bet on him for the over in buckets. Usually it's set at like 27. You bet the over, boom, you get money. So FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the Locked On NHL podcast, and they're awesome. And I really do enjoy using FanDuel. They can still not make the playoffs. Oh, hell. I know, but I have to be realistic. The St. Louis Blues could still miss the playoffs this season. I know. I've been on a high. I have been excited about their recent success. And then it hit me tonight. The way that they're losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs made me realize every single point matters. The Blues don't even have 60 points this season yet. And I know the Central Division isn't as competitive, but you have the Nashville Predators that are right behind us. And I know this summer I did a collab with Ann that does the Locked On Predators, who was absolutely awesome. And we both said that these are very similar teams, the Blues and the Preds. And I feel like it's going to be very neck and neck. And right now, I am extremely nervous because a part of me is thinking, and I hate that I'm thinking this way, but I am thinking this way. What if the Blues don't make it to the postseason? What if they miss it by like 3 points? And then it makes you think, well, some of those games that they should have won are going to really, bite them in the butt come playoff time. And I hate being that person. I hate being negative because you know me, I'm not a negative person by any means. But I have to be realistic because I don't want to be disappointed. But I know no matter what, I'm going to be disappointed because at the end of the day, like that's literally like, that's life. 1 second. There is a fight going on outside my place and I am back. You know what? The reason why I had to pause too, there was a fight outside my apartment. I can't have any cuss words, obviously, on this podcast. I heard some words that were not so good, and I'm like, I do not want that picking up on my microphone. So, yeah, not good. But the point that I am getting at is this. Wow, that was kind of crazy. You never know what you're going to get on Locked On Blues. But overall, when you're looking at the standings, right, and you're looking about how this team is going to do, you really need to take into account right now that the St. Louis Blues are going to probably lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they're going to still be at those 58 points. The Nashville Predators are right behind the Blues with 56 points. Behind the Preds, the Minnesota Wild, they have been playing better hockey with 53 points. So the Blues are really not in a safe zone. I mean, right now, the Winnipeg Jets have 67 points. So they're 9 points behind the Jets, right? We discussed that before. So I truly do believe that this is the time where the Blues need to win as many games as they can. Because I'm going to be honest right now, Nashville is kind of scaring me. They're playing right now, and it's 1-1 against the New Jersey Devils. I really hope they lose. Because if they win, then they're going to have 58 points just like the Blues, because I doubt the Blues are going to win tonight. And then you look ahead, they're going to be playing the Stars. I hope Dallas wins. And then on Saturday, the 17th, the Blues and Predators play each other in Nashville. And this is a game where St. Louis needs to win. This is their big test. You think of a team in the NHL that is just as similar as the St. Louis Blues, right? Some new players, some new different coaching / leadership type of situation. You think of the Nashville Predators. And I really hope to do an episode with A because I think that this game is going to be the tell-all. How good are the St. Louis Blues? And I think going against the Nashville Predators is going to be that realistic wake-up call of, okay, this is what they need to work on. This is what they need to do. But yeah, I am not so pleased right now of how they've been playing against the Maple Leafs tonight. On Thursday, my birthday, they actually play against the Edmonton Oilers, so that's going to be a tough game. I just don't want the Blues to miss out on the playoffs because of having a couple tough stretches. You had 2 great games against the Buffalo Sabres and then the Montreal Canadiens. It cannot be you're doing so well and then you just fall down the hill. And the Maple Leafs, I know that they have talent, right? I know that they have Austin Matthews, and I know that they have talent, right? But they're not that much better than the St. Louis Blues. So yeah, it does draw me some concern in a way that the Blues have struggled this much. So not very pleased with how the Blues are doing tonight at all. I will talk about it in tomorrow's episode, obviously. Just right now, I'm very displeased because we really needed those 2 points. I mean, I'm going to say that about every game. The Blues need those 2 points every single game. But you know what I need and you know what I love? It is, you guess it, sleeper. It's almost the halfway point of the season, Blues fans, and right now we need all the points we can get. Regardless of where we're at in the current standings, I want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because of Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And what I love most about Sleeper is that you can also use it for daily fantasy, NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, and so much more. Listen, I have a group chat called Don't Sleep on Sleeper with my friends, and it's true because Sleeper is the absolute best because your entries can be made in under a minute, so it takes no time at all. All you have to do is pick guys, whether a Robert Thomas, a Jake Neighbors. You can even go with my guy Torrey Krug because I feel better about him. Where we record more or less on their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Blues fans. You can win 100 times your money by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail in your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. He must go. Who am I talking about? Because I could be talking about a couple people. You're going to hate me, but I'm going to be honest. Sammy Blais. Sammy Blais. Okay, so listen. I like Sammy Blais. I really do. But the reason why I think he must go is because I just don't see him developing well here. I don't see him playing a good game. And I think that the Blues could honestly just be better off without him. Now, I'm not coming at Sammy Blais. I do like him, right? And you can like a person. You can like how they are, but you don't have to like necessarily their game. I feel like as a fourth liner, he's doing his job. It's fine. But there hasn't been anything special about him this season. I think that if you maybe trade Sammy Blais, you can get something out of it. But right now, I'm worried about the development of our younger guys, right? I know when Snuggy's done at college, there's a good chance that he could come up. My boy Zach Dean. There's so many different players that I feel like could have some good, chance here in St. Louis. And I just don't think a guy like Sammy Blais is really proving to me that he should be up here. I feel bad saying it because I do like him a lot as a person. But I mean, right now, if I had to put somebody on my chopping block, it would be Sammy Blais. It would be Kevin Hayes. Now, Alexei Torchenko, no, because he has been playing a much better game. Torrey Krug, no, he redeemed himself. I mean, a lot of these guys have been playing better. I do like Tyler Tucker. I mean, Scott Perunovich is going to be an unrestricted free agent next season. So, like, I'm not, like, going to be, trade him at the deadline because, like, you're not going to get anything out of him. But there are a couple players where I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm noticing you on the ice. And I think that at this point, if you're not going to, and this is if they're not going to make the playoffs, okay? If you're not going to make the playoffs, then give some of these younger guys some NHL minutes. If you are going to make the playoffs, then try to get a talent, right? Throughout another team. Now, you don't have to worry about goalies because we have really good goalies. The defense has been doing a lot better, but I need a guy that's able to make a difference on a third or fourth line. And I'm not seeing that with many of our guys. I think that some of our players have been blending in. I like Nathan Walker a lot. I think that he had a good game over the weekend, but he's not the solution. And right now, the Blues need to figure out a solution. They need to figure out guys that are going to truly drive this team to success. And until I see that, I'm not going to be sitting here acting like I'm pleased because I am truly not. I feel like this team is capable of playing such better hockey, but they're missing a couple key assets. So I want you to tell me who is on your chopping block. Do you have a couple players where you're like, you know what, if they get traded, I'm not going to be too upset? Let me know down in the comments below. I also want to let you know that just because I am sharing my opinion doesn't mean that it's going to happen, right? This podcast is a way for you and I to have a conversation, to talk about things. And, we're Blues fans here, okay? I'm not going against the Blues. This is my team. And I think that having conversations like this, these are the thoughts that go through my head every single day. So, yes. Is it negative? Yes. Am I going to beat myself up over this one loss to Toronto? No. But do I still feel like change needs to be made? Absolutely. All right. I will talk to you in tomorrow's episode of Locked On Blues. Until then, like always, let's go Blues.